What drove 9 experienced hikers to slash their tent open from the inside and flee into the freezing darkness of Kolatshiakl, a mountain whose name translates to Dead Mountain. Their bodies, discovered miles apart, painted a disturbing picture: fractured skulls, missing eyes, and even severed tongues. Was it an unexpected disaster, a brutal military experiment, or something far more sinister lurking in the shadows of the Ural Mountains? Over 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains an unsolved enigma. Join us as we unravel the riddle behind one of history's most terrifying and unexplained deaths. At the end of this video, we will also uncover chilling, lesser-known details about this story. Secrets that deepen the mystery and blur the line between fact and the unimaginable. In January 1959, amidst the unforgiving, snow-shrouded wilderness of the Ural Mountains in Soviet Russia, Igor Dyatlov, a driven and accomplished mountaineer, led a group of 9 hikers on what was meant to be the adventure of a lifetime. The team was composed of students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Each hiker was seasoned and confident, their trust in one another unshakable. Yet, as they ventured deeper into the silent, icy expanse, none could imagine the darkness waiting to consume them. The Dyatlov hikers were a close-knit group, bound by shared passion and trust. Igor Dyatlov, their steadfast leader, inspired confidence, while Zinaida Kolmogorova's optimism and Rustem Slobodin's quiet strength steadied the team. Lyudmila Dubinina's sharp intellect and Yuri Krivonishenko's humor brought balance to their journey. Yet beneath their camaraderie lurked unspoken tensions, hidden rivalries, and fragile bonds that would soon be shattered. Together, they ventured into the icy wilderness, unaware this journey would be their last, leaving behind echoes of courage and haunting, unanswered questions. The goal was to conquer Ottoton Mountain, an ominous peak hidden deep within a desolate, snow-cloaked region of the Soviet Union. This was no ordinary trek. It was a level 3 hiking challenge, the most grueling certification for Soviet mountaineers. The environment was merciless. Temperatures plunged to a bone-chilling -30 degrees Celsius, and the terrain shifted between dense, foreboding forests and barren, wind-swept slopes. Yet, the group's unwavering confidence in their skill and determination blinded them to the lurking menace. What seemed like a test of endurance would soon spiral into a nightmare beyond their darkest fears. 3 days later, on February 1st, the hikers set up camp on the slopes of the Dead Mountain. Diaries indicated they faced worsening weather, including high winds and snowstorms. Their final entries were routine, reflecting no sign of distress. That night, something happened that would forever shroud the Dyatlov group in mystery. A night that no one survived. On February 26th, 1959, nearly 3 weeks of haunting silence from the hikers compelled a search party to venture into the frozen wilderness. What they discovered would send chills through generations to come. The hiker's tent lay in ruins, slashed open from the inside, as if they had desperately fled from something unseen. Bare footprints, eerily preserved in the snow, led away from the campsite, their chaotic paths swallowed by the darkness. There was no sign of struggle, only an unsettling stillness. a silence so unnatural it felt as if the icy terrain itself was holding its breath, guarding the unspeakable secrets of that fateful night. Could the clues scattered across the eerie campsite whisper a truth too horrifying to comprehend? Is there a sinister detail hidden in the chaos that holds the key to unlocking the chilling nightmare that unfolded here? As the search party pressed deeper into the snow-shrouded wasteland, the grim discoveries began. The first bodies, those of Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko, lay near a feeble, makeshift campfire, a flickering attempt to stave off the deadly cold. Both were stripped to their underwear, a chilling and unnatural detail in the sub-zero temperatures. Their lifeless forms seemed frozen mid-flight, as though they had fled the tent in blind terror, pursued by something unseen. No visible injuries marked their bodies, adding a haunting layer of confusion to the already inexplicable scene. The rest of the bodies were unearthed deeper in the surrounding forest, each discovery more horrifying than the last. One hiker was found with a skull fractured so violently it seemed unimaginable outside of a brutal attack. Another bore shattered ribs as if crushed by an unimaginable force. But it was the gruesome and almost surgical injuries that froze investigators' blood. Igor Dyatlov himself lay eyeless, his face a haunting mask of terror. Nearby, Semyon Zolotaryov was discovered with his tongue grotesquely torn from his mouth, leaving behind only chilling silence. These were not the marks of nature's fury or an avalanche. They spoke of something darker, more malevolent, something beyond comprehension lurking in the frozen shadows. As more bodies were uncovered, the mystery deepened. Found in various states of undress, the hikers showed no signs of struggle, yet their flight from the tent spoke of sheer terror. Why abandon their lifeline, gear, food, shelter for the freezing darkness? Logical explanations, like avalanches or hypothermia, failed to account for the eerie injuries and unsettling scene. Whispers of something darker, something beyond the natural, began to take hold. Could the hikers have faced an unimaginable force that drove them from their tent into the icy oblivion? The details of their injuries and the unsettling state of the campsite have left investigators and theorists grasping for answers. Speculation runs wild, but no explanation has ever been fully satisfactory. The mystery remains shrouded in shadows. Let's delve into the chilling theories that attempt to explain the inexplicable. The avalanche theory shrouds the Dyatlov Pass mystery in uneasy logic, but the gaping holes in its explanation only amplify the horror. Imagine the hikers, their breath frozen in mid-panic, slashing their way out of the tent as if something unspeakable was closing in. Boots, gear, everything they needed to survive, abandoned in a frenzied escape into the merciless night. When rescuers arrived, the scene was disturbingly calm. No crushing snowdrifts, no signs of a violent avalanche. The tent stood eerily intact, but the bodies told a far darker story. Fractured skulls, broken ribs, missing tongues. These weren't the work of snow's heavy hand, but of something far more sinister, something that defied reason. Could an avalanche spark such terror, or was a shadowy force at work, stalking them in the icy wilderness? Some theorize the hikers fell victim to katabatic winds, howling, icy gusts that rip through the slopes with a fury capable of disorienting and instilling primal terror. These spectral winds are said to induce hysteria, perhaps driving the hikers from their tent in blind panic. Their strange, erratic movements across the mountainside, a testament to their fear. Could the winds have pushed them to abandon shelter and run into the frozen darkness? Yet, as terrifying as katabatic winds may be, they fail to explain the grim details. Why would seasoned hikers, knowing the dangers, leave behind their only warmth, wandering barefoot into certain death? And their injuries are not the work of mere wind. Something far more sinister seems to have claimed them, leaving behind only questions and horror. The Dyatlov Pass Incident unfolded against the shadowy backdrop of Cold War paranoia, a time rife with secrets and deadly experiments. Some theories whisper of Soviet military tests gone horribly wrong. One possibility points to parachute mines, silent killers dropped from planes, detonating mid-air with thunderous blasts. The shockwaves could have disoriented the hikers, forcing them into a frantic, disorganized escape into the wilderness. But it's the injuries again that invalidate this theory. Fractured skulls, shattered ribs, wounds eerily consistent with an explosive force. Yet there were no visible marks on the skin or clothes that would suggest any explosions or external force. The radiation found on the hikers' clothing is a sinister puzzle piece in the Dyatlov Pass mystery. Could they have stumbled into a forbidden zone, a landscape poisoned by unspoken horrors of Soviet experimentation? Theories whisper of nuclear tests, radioactive weaponry, or a covert military operation cloaked in deadly silence. Some speculate they unknowingly entered a lethal realm, the air itself seething with invisible death. The Soviet veil of secrecy thickens the darkness, leaving only dread-filled questions. What unspeakable force bathed the hikers in contamination and consigned them to such a gruesome fate? For centuries, the region around Dyatlov Pass has been steeped in local folklore. The indigenous Mansi people, who have lived in the area for generations, refer to the mountain as "Don't Go There," a name that is deeply rooted in their spiritual beliefs. According to Mansi tradition, the mountain is cursed, and those who venture too far into its snowy reaches are often met with tragedy. Some believe the Dyatlov Pass hikers unknowingly disturbed sacred land, invoking the wrath of the spirits that inhabit the area. According to Mansi, the mountain is a place where the boundary between life and death is particularly thin, and certain areas are off limits to outsiders. Could the hikers' deaths have been a result of this ancient curse? While it seems more far-fetched than natural or military explanations, the presence of local legend and the eerie circumstances of the incident have prompted many to consider this possibility. The strange, unexplained injuries and the overall sense of unease surrounding the location have only fueled these superstitions. One of the most unsettling theories centers on UFOs. During the Dyatlov Pass incident, glowing orbs were seen haunting the skies above the mountains, their eerie light casting shadows of fear. Witnesses, including military personnel, described the unearthly lights as hovering, watching. Could the hikers have encountered something not of this world, a force so alien it drove them to abandon their tent in terror? The hiker's gruesome injuries seem disturbingly precise, as if inflicted by something beyond human comprehension. Some believe the glowing orbs weren't mere coincidence, but harbingers of the horror that unfolded. Were the hikers silenced for witnessing what should have remained unseen? The UFO theory, though compelling, remains shrouded in mystery. No concrete evidence ties the orbs to the hikers' fate, yet the whispers of extraterrestrial interference linger, feeding a fear that the truth might be more terrifying than we dare imagine. While the theories offer glimpses into what might have happened, they leave behind more questions than answers. The injuries, the behavior, and the eerie traces left by the hikers only deepen the mystery. But to truly understand the enigma of Dyatlov Pass, we must delve into the inconsistencies and unanswered questions that defy explanation, details that continue to haunt investigators and captivate imaginations. Let's examine these unsettling elements more closely. If you're as intrigued by the eerie mysteries of Dyatlov Pass as we are, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more chilling stories and unsolved enigmas. Your support helps us uncover the darkest corners of history, because the truth might just be scarier than fiction. Stay tuned for more. One of the most chilling aspects of the Dyatlov Pass incident is the gruesome injuries suffered by the hikers. Wounds that defy the logic of an ordinary hiking accident. As mentioned earlier, 2 of them had fractured skulls, their heads shattered as if struck by an unseen force, while others bore broken ribs, their torsos crushed with a brutality more fitting of a violent collision than the wilderness. These injuries weren't just unnatural. They whispered of a terror that left no trace of its fury, only broken bodies and haunting questions. Even more unsettling was the discovery of missing eyes and a severed tongue from 2 of the hikers. Scavengers, some say. But how could animals strip away these features with such precision while leaving the rest of the bodies eerily untouched? No claw marks, no signs of feeding, only the cold, surgical absence of vital features. The pristine condition of the surrounding scene defied natural explanation, forcing investigators to confront darker possibilities. Criminal intent, or something far more sinister, something unearthly that claimed its gruesome trophies and vanished into the icy abyss. Another puzzling aspect of the case is the hikers' strange behavior before they died. Despite the sub-zero temperatures, the group fled their tent in a panic, half-dressed and without their boots or proper gear. Why would they abandon the relative safety of the tent in such an extreme environment? Theories about the avalanche or katabatic winds offer possible explanations, but nothing seems to fully account for their hasty and illogical actions. It's almost as if the hikers were compelled to run for their lives. But from what? The hikers' diaries and cameras recovered near their lifeless bodies provide fragmented glimpses into their final days, entries of camaraderie and routine moments in the wilderness. Yet, as the timeline progresses, an unsettling void emerges. Some entries speak of calm, uneventful days, while others trail off, incomplete, as if interrupted by something unspeakable. The photographs, eerie remnants of their last moments, capture fleeting smiles and mundane snapshots, yet hold no answers to the nightmare that followed. What could have fractured this peaceful narrative so suddenly, so violently? What unspeakable terror unfolded in those missing moments, just before they abandoned their tent? This dissonance between what was recorded and the scene found by rescuers only deepens the mystery. The lack of clarity in the final days of the hikers raises many more questions than it answers. Soviet authorities hastily closed the case, citing a vague, compelling natural force. The investigation ended abruptly, and the files were sealed, shrouding the truth in secrecy. This unsettling silence hinted at something darker, a hidden horror too chilling to reveal. The secrecy surrounding the case has only fueled conspiracy theories. Was there something the government didn't want the public to know? The closure of the case has left a trail of unanswered questions, further fueling speculation about the true cause of the hikers' deaths. Why did the authorities move so quickly to end the investigation? And what were they trying to hide? The secrecy surrounding Dyatlov Pass only adds to its eerie mystique, leaving it a haunting reminder of the unexplained. Just when you think the Dyatlov mystery has revealed all its horrors, deeper shadows emerge, cloaked in contradictions and unsettling discoveries. These lesser-known details cast an even darker pall over the hiker's fate, facts that defy logic, challenge explanations, and hint at forces beyond comprehension. As we peel back the layers of secrecy, brace yourself for revelations that make this story even more chilling. In temperatures that could freeze a person solid in minutes, some of the hikers' bodies showed no signs of frostbite. How could they endure such merciless cold while dressed so inadequately? It's as if the frozen wilderness itself withheld its usual punishment, preserving them in a way that defied nature. Was it sheer coincidence, or did an unknown force intervene, shielding them from the frost while condemning them to a far darker fate? Among the scattered belongings, a camera appeared, one that was never mentioned in the official inventory. Whose was it, and why was it there? Was it capturing the mundane moments of the journey, or something far more disturbing? Its unexplained presence feels like a silent observer, an unblinking eye that might hold answers buried beneath the snow. If only we could unearth its secrets. Lyudmila Dubinina's missing tongue is one of the case's most infamous details, but few know the gruesome extent of her injuries. The delicate hyoid bone beneath her tongue was fractured, a wound far too precise for scavenging animals. This wasn't nature's doing. Something, or someone, inflicted this horror with chilling intent. What kind of force removes a tongue while leaving the rest of the body eerily untouched? The silence that surrounds this gruesome detail is as deafening as it is horrifying. Among the cryptic remnants left by the Dyatlov group, one diary entry clause, at the imagination with chilling simplicity: "Snowman exists." Scrawled with unnerving nonchalance amid mundane observations, it offers no explanation, only an ominous void of context. Was it a fleeting joke, or a desperate attempt to document something beyond comprehension? An unearthly presence stalking the frozen wilderness? The phrase feels less like a statement and more like a warning, its stark finality echoing through time. It lingers in the icy silence. A whisper of something watching, something waiting, its true meaning lost to the cold grip of the mountain's relentless darkness. The Dyatlov Pass mystery only deepens with each revelation. The absence of frostbite, an unlogged camera, and Lyudmila Dubinina's eerily precise injuries. These details defy explanation, leaving questions that linger like shadows over the case. Decades later, modern investigators attempted to unravel the enigma, hoping to shed light on the truth buried in the icy wilderness. Could their efforts finally provide answers, or does the mystery remain as impenetrable as the frozen night? Let's explore contemporary investigations. The Dyatlov Pass Incident lingers as one of Russia's most haunting enigmas. In 2019, a renewed investigation once again attributed the tragedy to an avalanche. Yet, the conclusion brought little comfort, as skeptics pointed out glaring inconsistencies. How could a simple avalanche explain the hikers' horrific injuries or their chilling, irrational flight into the frozen abyss? Doubts festered, and the mystery deepened. A story far from over, where the shadows of the unknown still loom. The tragedy has ensnared the minds of researchers, documentarians, and enthusiasts worldwide, becoming a chilling cultural obsession that refuses to fade. Books whisper theories, films bring the terror to life, and podcasts echo unanswered questions into the dark. Its eerie, unresolved nature casts a shadow over every attempt to explain the hiker's tragic fate. Documentaries plunge into the nightmare, shedding flickering light on a mystery that only grows darker with time. Theories swirl like ghosts around the ordeal, each one clawing for an explanation, yet all ultimately crumble under scrutiny, leaving the mystery colder and darker. An avalanche. The tent stood eerily intact, as if mocking the claim. Katabatic winds. Experienced hikers don't panic so perfectly as to leave footprints like whispers in the snow. The Mansi, blamed for violence. Their peaceful cooperation casts doubt on such shadows. Military experiments, UFOs, or curses, each theory feels like a desperate attempt to light a candle in a room consumed by darkness. Even hypothermia, that silent killer, cannot explain the brutal precision of fractured bones and missing eyes. And the animals, they left no tracks, just more questions. Every explanation is like a shiver down the spine, plausible at first, but ultimately fading into the chilling silence of the mountain, where truth itself seems frozen in time. As you piece together the fragments of this haunting story, ask yourself, what force could drive 9 seasoned hikers into the abyss of madness and death? Could there be something sinister lurking in the mountains, waiting for its next victims? Or are we simply unable to grasp the full truth, blinded by fear of the unexplainable? What if the answers lie in the space between reason and terror, where science and superstition blur? We want to know your thoughts. What do you think happened that fateful night on Dead Mountain? Was it a tragic accident or something far darker? Share your theories in the comments and join us as we continue to explore the world's mysteries. Be sure to like and subscribe, because the truth, no matter how terrifying, might be waiting just beyond the next story. Good night.